1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, shout out to Trevor for that beautiful rendition of the Hake Report theme song. He was the star of last hour, if you didn't hear the last hour of the Jesse Lee Peterson show. And, ladies, Women's Forum tonight, before I forget to remind you, because the Women's Forums, I'm presuming, when you presume, you make a purr out of you and me. Like, assume. That the women's forums are excellent because I always love the men's forums. They're always really excellent. The church services are always cool. They're streamed live online on the YouTube channel called Bond Rebuilding the Man. And I do have an announcement about yesterday. We did have a premiere on the Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. But the men's forums and the women's forums are not streamed online. They're not recorded. You may get a photograph of some people here and there. But other than that, it's not recorded, it's not streamed. And it is not spoken nor written about the specifics, like the people's personal business. Because what's said in there stays there because it's private. Respecting people's privacy. If you don't, you're banned for life. So they're always really excellent. So cool, those discussions. And so make sure you join the Women's Forum tonight, ladies, 7 p.m. at Bond. If you're in Vegas, you have time to drive and make it. Maybe even if you're in Arizona. We've had people drive in from Arizona, Nevada, San Diego, maybe somebody from Mexico once. So people flew in from Atlanta, Georgia, all over the place, or even out of the country. Anyways, I'm going to get to your calls. Appreciate you guys calling in. Hang tight. But we're live in hour 4 of Jesse Lee Peterson's stream on YouTube here. It is Thursday, January 16th, 2020. Not just after 9 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time here in L.A. Shout out to the people in Australia who listen at like 1, 2 in the morning, 3, whatever. Crazy. To the Jesse Lee Peterson show and the Hake Report. So let me just show you briefly the thumbnail of the Bond Sunday service that we premiered last night about work and marriage relationships. It was so good. Some of you guys joined in the Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube premiere. You have that thumbnail? It's, and maybe I have a favor to ask to Joelle, because I like to put these up on podcast as well, but I'm so bad at it. Maybe I can ask Joelle to put those up on the Bond SoundCloud. And then that gets distributed to the podcast platforms. We are on podcast. We have the Jesse Lee Peterson show on podcast, the radio show. We have the Jesse Lee Peterson highlights, which include like basically some of the YouTube channel stuff, the 90s episodes and different things, interviews, highlights on that podcast. And then we have the Fallen State on podcast, recent episodes, the recent most 13 or so episodes. And then, of course, the Hake Report and Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, too. 4 or 5 different podcasts, including mine, right? 4 of Jesse's. So, and it's up on more and more and more podcast platforms. TuneIn, Apple, even Google has podcast platform now for Android only. Spotify, all those. So just letting you guys know. Before I get to calls, let me just correct the record, because yesterday I was talking about how it's right versus wrong. It's not about It's not even about globalist versus nationalist or Democrat versus Republican or conservative versus liberal or capitalist versus socialist, although the capitalists tend to be right, although the nationalists tend to be right, although the Christians tend to be right, although the whites tend to be right, the men tend to be right versus women. Not always right. But anyways, like I said that it's not just Jewish versus anti-Jewish or Jewish versus goys or Gentiles. And I made the statement that I've never heard any Jew call us goys, call non-Jews goys. Or goyim. I've only heard the alt-right people say it. But I got some feedback from people. I got an email from a listener and a text from a friend. So let me show you the text from a friend. You don't know him or her. Said, hey, I heard on your show today that Jews don't call us goy, or that you've never heard them say it. I drive for Uber, as you know, and on 2 accounts I've had a Jewish couple talk about the goy and the goyim, referencing black people in the club. And then like a funny kind of showing the teeth face, like a nervous face, I guess. So record corrected, I guess. And then a listener emailed me saying to identify the truly sick racists. And I say, no such thing as racism. Google Chief Rabbi of Israel, who's since died, apparently. He sent me this article. Says the only person of Goyim is to serve Jews. Life of Goyim is worth the same as a donkey. Wow. Netanyahu says this jerk is the greatest mind of this generation. And he sent me this interesting 2013 article from Times of Israel. 5 of Ovadia Yosef's most controversial quotes. And I have the headline of it and some of those 5 quotes. The late Sephardi spiritual leader, and Sephardi is a type of Jewish, and it must be this old guy with the sunglasses if you're looking at the video with the fancy Armenian shirt. No, I'm kidding. It has like gold stuff on it. Late Sephardi spiritual leader made a range of inflammatory comments involving snakes and sinners, Gentiles and blacks. And it's Sephardi, right? As opposed to Ashkenazi, right? Aren't the Sephardis the darker skinned ones? I don't know. Other people know more than me about this stuff. But anyways, he said some of the quotes. I have some quotes just because this article just took me off on a tangent. It's very interesting. Here's the first quote. The guilt, well, he's saying the guilt of Jewish victims of the Holocaust he said that they were reincarnations of the souls of sinners. Wow. And that was in a weekly Saturday night sermon in August 2000. Reincarnation of the souls of sinners were holocausted, according to him. Crazy. And then number 2 one is kind of funny, I guess. Hurricane Katrina was divine punishment for godlessness and American support for the disengagement from Gaza. Meaning disengagement of Israel from the Gaza Strip, I guess. And, you know, Jesse made the comment, the Jews are giving so much land to these Palestinians. I think that's what that is. But he's talking about, there is like a lot of godlessness in the Katrina area, where Hurricane Katrina hit way back when W. Bush was president. That was in 2005 that he said that. And Katrina hit New Orleans, and New Orleans is like one of the degenerate capitals of America. Here's quote 3. They have Mardi Gras. Whatever that is. But anyways, his quote number 3. This is the one that got this listener. And he does say this, according to him. Goyim were born only to serve us. This is the purpose of Gentiles, to serve Jews. Without that, they have no place in the world, only to serve the people of Israel. Did he say anything else interesting? Imagine that if one's donkey would die, they'd lose their money. Okay, so it doesn't benefit. It's kind of like the argument of the slaves being lynched. They weren't, for the most part. It's kind of like why would anybody kill their own donkey? They'd lose their money. Same thing with the Israelis and Jews' interest in keeping the Gentiles alive. Right on. So that was an interesting quote. That's what that listener emailed me about specifically, but I'm looking at these other ones, just kind of interesting. And then this guy, this leader, said on making peace with Arabs, how can you make peace with a snake? These evildoers. Interesting. Wow, he says that God is sorry that he ever created those sons of Ishmael, is what this guy says. I don't know. On Muslims, he says, they're stupid. Their religion is as ugly as they are. That was a 2009 quote. He's died now. This article was written in 2013. And according to the listener, he was Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, who likes Trump, didn't like Obama, was a fan of him. Was there anything else interesting? Oh, he's talking about... Yeah, that's that Yosef... what's his name? Yosef... Ovadia Yosef was a Sephardic leader guy. And so, yeah, of course, like, he's going to say it because he speaks in that language, right? But I've never heard, like, common people say it. But he says, in current usage, back to this, what this listener's email was talking about, because I went off on a tangent with that article that he sent me. Thank you, man, by the way, or woman. In current usage, it is a pejorative commonly used among Jews, but only among Jews, not with the Goyim present. Oh, okay. How do you know this, though? Anyways, it is very derogatory and denotes inferior intellect and social status. Sounds like what the illegals complain about when they're called illegal aliens. That's dehumanizing. So I'm not really concerned about this word being called Goyim. If they don't call me that around me, then what do I care, right? But anyways, it says, if you hang around Jewish people like I did for a while in Miami, this listener said, you would see it used frequently. It is commonly used by one Jew against another Jew as an insult. For example, when someone says something stupid among a group of Jews, the dismissive retort is, you are so goy. That's funny. I guess I don't hang around enough Jewish people. Pretty interesting, though. It just sounds like normal human nature, though. All right, let me get to some callers, and then I'm gonna play video of that guy who committed suicide last week. I meant to play it for you guys because you saw it on the Jesse Lee Peterson show if you watched it, but I have some other footage, just of this guy from Australia, gay, against same-sex marriage, and against Drag Queen Story Hour. This homosexual guy committed suicide this week on Monday. The day before, on Sunday, he was protesting at a library, this guy. I just want to play some footage of it for you, but let me get to some calls, and then I'll also cover this bike chain police attack that I talked about in Hake News of Hour 3 today for the Jesse Lee Peterson show, beginning of the hour. There's been some crazy attacks and craziness over in New York. An illegal alien allegedly raped and murdered a 92-year-old woman. And then this guy plastered up a swastika. Interesting that these three crimes, the least heinous among them, was the one that the governor talked about, Governor Cuomo. Democrat. Stupid. I'll get to that. Let me get to some callers, though, first. Rick, out of Maine. Rick, how are you? Good to hear from you.
Not bad. Thank you, Bob. How you doing today?
Doing fine.
All right. I'm just coming through Binghamton, New York here.
Nice.
I'd like to discuss a little bit with you and see what you think about these harvested ballots. I know they've played a major role in our last few elections, and it makes a lot of folks wonder, well, where did this person get the right to vote because he's in prison? Or this person is dead, or
right.
something like that. There's always something like that.
Explain to the people, Rick, what harvested ballots are, what ballot harvesting is.
Ballots are ballots that are copied, because you don't usually put your name on a ballot.
Yeah.
And they will take these ballots to churches and other places of where people gather. And what they do is they will fill those ballots out, and at the end of the count, somebody comes out of the woodwork. Oh, here we go. We got 2 or 3 boxes of ballots that haven't been counted. We got to count these. Now, this is a game that some states allow, some states do not. So, if you live in a state that participates in these illegal activities, that's what I think they are anyway, because it's a rigged election. This is how we're getting all these problems with these elections. And I really would like to see some kind of control at the voting location and a time frame for these precincts to get these votes in, to get them counted. The way that they work is they'll wait until the balance is counted. Oh well, the Democrats will say, well, we gotta do something to boost our count here because we're losing. And all of a sudden, these boxes of ballots come out of the woodwork.
Oh, yeah.
And I really think, James, that this is highly illegal.
Yeah.
And it should be controlled.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one front of the corruption amongst the liberals. They act like, since it's like this is left wide open to corruption, right? Easy to cheat.
Oh, yeah.
And they act like, oh, nobody's cheating, because they can only find one instance of voter fraud every now and then. But the point of voter fraud is not to get caught.
Yeah. How many elections, when you think back in history, how many elections have we had that scenario crop up? Oh, we just found 2 more boxes of ballots for...
I don't know.
Yeah, you look back through history, that's quite a lot of this stuff going on.
That's messed up.
It's not good.
It's not
fair. It's not a fair vote.
And you know what else? Like, society, on top of this, what's compounding this is that society's gotten so corrupt that the idiot voters are dumb enough to vote even on a so-called fair vote for these degenerate people and laws and stuff and proposals.
But the biggest thing I could say, James, is when you go to vote, folks, do your homework. Do the research on that person that you're thinking about voting for, and have an honest opinion in your heart when you go to cast that vote. And polling places, states that control the votes, especially in the 2020 election, they're going to tear this tree down, and they're going to try to make it illegal as they possibly can. Look at all the stuff they've pulled already.
Yeah.
So
seriously,
we've really got to pay attention to what's going on, folks.
Yeah. Rick, man, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, too. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Take care.
All right, brother. All right.
Yeah, you may have heard on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, not to plug his show too much, it's all right? No, I'm kidding. It's very good. I used to be a producer for a while. I still consider myself a producer, just an under-producer, right? I produce news for it. Hake News. But in the third hour yesterday and Wednesday, that would have been January 15th, at the beginning of Manhood Hour, Jesse Lee Peterson interviewed a guy, Craig Huey, who's been active in California. I sometimes refer to him for advice on who to vote for in terms of judges, I think. He's a Christian guy. Well, I think he's a boomer, but one that's like a real conservative Christian guy, so that's good. And he was talking about this ballot harvesting. Check that interview out if you have not. You will see it, I think, on the Jesse Lee Peterson Highlights podcast too, if you want to listen just to the podcast as opposed to pulling up video. Right? You put it up yesterday, I think. Yeah. Joel did it. Nice. So, let me get to a caller or two, and then I'll get to this stuff. Luca says, oh, here we go with another James ego trip. Okay, Louie out of Idaho. How are you, Louie?
How are you, man?
Doing fine. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I think the whole, I think homosexuality and transgenderism is a mental disorder.
Yeah, it's more than that. It's worse than just a mental disorder. I think that they've introduced this mental disorder thing to distract us from this, from the spiritual world. You have like people, you have blind people that think that spirit does not exist, but you can plainly see that it does. I mean, I think you can. It's like what Jesse Lee Peterson calls it. I love this. He called it a psycho-spiritual illness. A psycho-spiritual illness. So it's more than just mental. But you're right. Both the homosexuality and the transgender stuff, it is. And then the stupid psychology people, American Psychology Society or Psychiatric Society, the APA, they called it up until what, the 70s, a mental illness.
They're going to call it a disability before you know it. Trust me.
They'll call it a disability, and then they'll accuse us of discrimination.
Mark my words. People will make off it.
Yeah, you know what? They already are with the transgender thing. They call it gender dysphoria. And if you discriminate, and they think that the cure is to kiss up to the delusion. By kiss up to the delusion, I mean like give them sex reassignment surgery. Oh, because then they're less likely, which is not true, to commit suicide. They're not less likely.
It's disgusting, man.
It is. It's
I heard
evil.
about people in prison getting...
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
People in prison and in the military on the taxpayer dime. And
Are you
then
kidding me? Oh, my God.
And then you have stupid so-called progressives. Like, what's that guy's name? David Pakman? When Jesse Lee Peterson asked David Pakman before he kicked him off the show in the second interview, asked if that's progressive, and he's all, are you, what did he say? Are you a fiscal conservative, Jesse? Meaning he wouldn't answer the question and then tried to accuse Jesse of being fiscally not conservative because supposedly it's cheaper to pay for these guys' sex reassignment surgeries in some sick attempt at logic. You're right, man.
I'll tell you.
But everybody has their issues they got to overcome for sure, and those guys have their issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that, Louie. Anything else?
Thank you, man. That's it. Take care. Bye.
All right, take care. Speaking of that mental illness, which is way worse than mental illness, I think that I read about, like, I think in a communist thing or something about the communists, that what the communists did to debase the country used to be based, right? Or maybe it didn't, but based in reality, in stuff like that, in Christianity, in what's right, in like logic and men leading. They introduced intellectualism. And people accuse Jesse Lee Peterson and Hake and others of anti-intellectualism, as if that's a bad thing. But the intellect is evil. It's deluded. It's deceptive. It's female, actually. And because it reminds me of that article by, what's that guy's name? Brett something. He used to be in the Wall Street Journal. He used to be in Jerusalem Post, I think. He's like the head of the Jerusalem Post. Now he's in the New York Times. He wrote this article about the genius of Jews or something like that. And he said that it's not so much the IQ, it's the fact that Jewish people ask why or why not. But there's certain things that you don't have to know why or why not in order to know that it's wrong. You don't have to be able to explain why something is wrong. You just know it's wrong. Like you look at homosexuality, that just looks wrong. You know it's wrong. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to intellectualize it. But they try to intellectualize it to make you question what you already know. And so that's what they're doing with this introduction of these fake sciences like social science, like psychology, fake science. They cannot, there's no solid, what is it called? Diagnosis of somebody with a mental illness. There is none. And then psychiatry, the DSM, what is that called? I forget what that's. Yeah. But the DSM is put up by, I think, the APA, American Psychiatric or Psychologist Society. All that stuff, they want you to rely more and more on experts as opposed to real authority. Men, preachers who used to have authority, and all that stuff. The DSM is Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And they took the homosexuality out of it. So you know the audio is bad. Hake, please fix, says Roland Deschain. Is he right or is he lying? The mic is black, Hake, says Jib Jab. I know Jib Jab is not a troll. Can you hear me? Joel's going to fix it. But Joel let Trevor's wig rest on the microphone. The new viewer USA. Yeah, even like people who are regular listeners are saying this something's wrong, Joel. So there is something wrong. Hake, fix your audio. Hake has never even seen the book. The intellectual rabbit says, I don't have to see the book. I just see the people, and you know that they're off. Yeah, it's choppy. The echo, it's not an echo, it's cutting like it's choppy. I'm getting clipping. Let me turn it on. And just, have you heard it, Joel?
No.
Hake, fix your audio. Hake has never even seen the book. The intellectual rabbit said. Okay, it got a little bit better, but it was clipping. Yeah, the audio is clipping. So, anyways, guys. You getting Bill?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. That's obnoxious. Audio is very choppy. It's clipping. Thought it was my headphones, said Christine. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sorry. It's not my fault. I'm going to get to calls, but first I want to get the audio fixed, right? Because stuff I say, it can be choppy. But what you guys say is very important. So hang tight, and then I will get to you guys. But they've been trying to get you to rely on fake science, like this psychologist. You go to a therapist or a counselor, a licensed counselor, as though they make you better. They don't. More people committing suicide than ever. Or am I wrong? But suicide is going up. Audio is still bad. Skrillex is the audio engineer today. Black engineer. You chopping, bro? Let me know if it gets better or worse. Hit the mic. I almost got hit myself. So, hopefully you guys can understand me. This is obnoxious. I remember there was a problem in the audio of the premiere yesterday from the March 2009 Sunday service, and it sounded like they pulled out the mic thing and plugged it back in. It was a room mic. Jesse's mic was great, but on one side of the room mic was awful. Is it better now? It's because you were talking about Fergus Truman. I don't think so. It wasn't because I was talking about them. Okay, so let me know if it gets better. Give the mic a headbutt. It's very distracting. If I were based like Jesse Lee Peterson, I would walk off and there would be like dead air and an empty seat right now. But I'm not based. I'm a beta host. Anyways, Obama is president of this microphone. It's an Obama phone, Mike. I don't want to get... So is it better? Is it better, guys? Still clipped. A little bit better. If I talk in a low voice, is it any better? I'd much rather wear it. Oh, gosh. So there's nothing you can do? Nothing... Hello? Now I know how Jesse Lee Peterson feels. When the engineer and the head engineer are not talking.
I sent you that message.
Well, you sent me nothing visibly here, but that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Hake is Paul Wall. Paul Wall and Chameleonaire. They had a great rap album, allegedly. So I was talking about the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Kind of replaced the Bible or something. But yeah, it's a communist thing to debase, get you away from Christianity and actually, and also they've debased the pastors. The pastors believe in this stuff too. Now you have the under pastor to the pastor of Harvest Crusades, biggest and kind of a conservative guy, biggest wannabe wannabe Billy Graham of this generation. Greg Laurie, the under pastor, what did he do this past year? Commit suicide. The under guy. He was 30 something, kind of a liberal guy, but he had two or three beautiful children, blonde haired, white kids, and married. Young, good-looking guy, just commits suicide. Idiot. I worked in the medical field for 8 years, Hake. I do know what I am talking about, said the intellectual rabbit. The medical field is a disgrace right now, intellectual rabbit, and you're intellectual. You're an idiot. Gangster-wise, you should call in with that question. All right. So is my audio any better? I don't want to get to the callers without this.
It's hard to tell because we can't hear.
But you should listen. Somebody should be listening to the D Live and stuff.
It's okay.
No crackles now. So Nick is saying that no crackles. I think D Live has less of a delay too. Audio is good for now, says Champ Marley. All right, Champ. Thank you, man. Let me get to Lynn out of Chicago. Lynn, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing fine. Good to hear from you.
H-A-N-K.
Say that again?
I said Hank, H-A-N-K.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to mention how here in the great socialist state of Illinois, back in the 80s, when Richard Speck went to state prison for, I think it was a couple hundred years, he ended up getting a sexual reassignment surgery. I can't call it gender reassignment because he was still a biological male with a fully intact male chromosomes and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just disgusting. What they're doing, you would wonder if they're what is the medical procedure as how to do that to somebody when he was actually full blown crazy.
Yeah, man, they don't care about what's right. They just, look at how insane this this drag queen story hour. These incidents where these men dress up like fancy slutty looking women and go read in they're fairies or something, and go read in public libraries. And mothers especially, but maybe some beta fathers, take their young children, to go listen to them read and stuff. It doesn't even make sense. How would you even come up with that idea? But it's just the nonsensical stuff. They want to drive the sane people mad too. They want everybody to be crazy. They want the right-wingers to be angry and out of control.
Yeah. I was thinking, matter of fact, at 1 o'clock, I have to go take my sons out of school and take them to drag queen hour at the library. Thanks for reminding me, Hank.
Right.
That.
Yeah. It's evil, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
care
that-
about what's
that
right. And
kind
then
of
look at Bradley Manning. He calls himself Chelsea Manning now, and he was
gross.
crazy. What a
Yeah,
mess.
like that person, like with him, you know, all he's out to do is pretty much destroy the United States. You know that given all the things he's done.
I don't
stealing
know.
all this information.
I don't. As far as the info that he leaked out, I don't know. I really don't know about it. I don't know if it was right or wrong, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, I believe he leaked out like some confidential information that was it actually gave the names for like certain agents, like with the CIA and so on. He just leaked it out. Didn't even care to what was it like take their names off or something like that.
Oh, true. Not redacting any personal information, letting people get doxxed.
He just didn't care.
Yeah, that's true. That is, he's not like I said. I mean, these guys are not stable mentally or spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Good
No.
point, Lynn. That's true.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that, to be honest. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. The thing is, since I work in the IT industry and so on, I have to know that kind of stuff because that stuff can get you fired real quick.
Good point, man. You got to protect people's privacy. Very true.
Yeah. The thing is, given the IT industry's privacy is probably one of the main things you have to watch out for.
Yep.
You can't like disseminate people's information or and so on. You have to keep all that stuff private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is nuts. I remember this guy named Weave, who is like a white nationalist type of guy, was interviewed by Jesse Lee Peterson a few years ago, and he put out information, but it was on a public server that you could find from AT&T or something. It had names and addresses of people who had gone into like this maybe I'm mixing up stories, but gone into like Ashley Madison or something like that, which is a website that people go when they want to cheat on their husband or wife. And it was not protected information. And it's just like what you're talking about with this IT stuff. And there are very corrupt people working in all fields, including this IT stuff, information technology stuff. Crazy.
Yeah, like there have been several times which when I go on YouTube to watch your radio show.
Yeah.
There's been several times where I've logged in and I clicked on the radio thing to go to you guys.
Yeah.
And there's been several times where it has said offline, and I keep on reloading it, and then finally it gets to work.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so
what a mess.
I have no idea what's going on there.
You never know. Never know what's going on or not going on. Don't want to get paranoid, though. Appreciate it, Lynn. Good to hear from you.
All right, you take care.
All right, you as well. Let me get to Lorin out of Idaho, and then I'll get to this stuff. Lorin, how are you?
Hey, James.
Hey.
I'm doing really good. Really good. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you.
Excellent. So I just have a quick comment about the caller that I had mentioned, I think it was Louie, about homosexuality and transgenderism.
Yes.
My take on it is homosexuality is actually a little bit more than just mental illness or sexual preference.
A lot more.
Yeah, to me, it's it's heresy to God. It's a travesty of God's natural ways. God made man and woman and a penis and vagina to go together for a reason so that we could procreate and have babies.
Right. True.
So to me, having, putting your penis in someone's
You don't have to keep on saying it like that, Lorin.
I'm sorry. Well, anyways, you get the idea. By doing that, it's like taking a cross and turning it upside down.
Yeah.
And being proud of the fact. It's literally like a mockery of God's way.
Yep. Very true.
It's beyond mental illness, beyond even a spiritual type illness. It also has direct direct association to the UN's Agenda 21 and their idea of by 2030 depopulating the world by
promoting
by
all kinds of different things. Stuff. Promoting abortion, promoting
the idea,
homosexuality.
If you read about Agenda 20,
right?
You read about Agenda 21 and the UN's idea for 2030. They want to depopulate the world by supposedly up to 90%.
That's wild.
So by doing they could discourage. Yes. So by discouraging childbirth, encouraging gay sex, transgenderism, it's really a way of population control.
Yeah. True.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, and whenever I mean,
it's among other
when
things,
I was
really.
Young, yeah. Well, it's funny because when I was young, being a dude, like, for some reason, like, you wanted to do that with your girlfriend or woman, and of course, a girl would be always like, no, it's going to hurt, it's going to hurt, it's going to do that. But I don't know why it's pushed so much, especially among young men, because it's first off, it's dangerous. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of sexual diseases that could happen.
Right.
By doing that, you're rupturing the lower intestine.
I don't need to hear this.
If it's a... Well,
I don't need to hear this, Lorin.
It's the truth, James.
I know, but it's too graphic. It's a family show. And plus, I'm not into hearing all that stuff.
Well, anyway, so that's my take on it. It's like turning a cross... turning a cross upside down and being proud of it.
I'll tell you, you definitely bring it to reality, Lorin. So that's true.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Take care. Yeah. By the way, I was joining forces with this Sephardic Jewish rabbi guy who died, who had his controversial remark about the people in Katrina deserved it. It was punishment for being corrupt. And I talked about New Orleans. And Dollcakes24 on Periscope said, "Hey, James, my birthplace, it's only the French Quarter, James, in New Orleans that's very corrupt. It's not the whole city or state." Thank you, Dollcakes, for correcting the record. So, OG Lee asks, is that just a picture behind there, or is that really California? Yes, this is Los Angeles. You see the 110 freeway? The 110, and you also see, I think that's a 110. No. Yeah, it's a 110, and it's a street that runs alongside the 110 at a certain point, just north of the 10 freeway. And over here in California, especially Southern California, especially LA, we don't call it I-10, we call it the 10 for Interstate 10, which runs all the way to Florida, I heard. Actually, I have driven on the 10 in Florida, I think. So, Blaze Z says, you really think kids haven't heard those Oregon's names? Come on, hey, grow up. I don't care. It's kind of disgusting. You guys saw me blush. Anyways, man. Appreciate you, Lorin. Okay. I was just checking the D Live. There have been various things going on. So, my audio clear? If the audio is clear, let me show you this gay guy going after the drag queen for targeting kids. This gay guy who's against same-sex marriage, now he's dead because he committed suicide, according to the reports. I forgot to play this for you guys, so let me play it, and then we'll get going. So here's I have a couple of clips, just play whatever, of this guy, Wilson Gavin of Australia, every white country, every former Christian country, going down the tubes. Here it is.
Drag queens are not the kids. Drag queens are not the kids. Drag queens are not the kids.
You guys, you should have dealt with this downstairs. You should have dealt with this downstairs.
Gross, you see the drag queen's legs, that's nasty. That was gross. I didn't want to see the drag queen's legs. That's a dude. Yeah, the audio is great. Thank you, guys. See? The black engineers coming through. And then here's another. So people are saying, I love drag queens. No, you don't. You guys are thinking that you love the drag queens. Here's another one. Here's another one. Clip.
Drag queens and off the kids.
You see the gay dude.
Thank you very much.
And it's another dude. He's right. Drag queens are not for kids. And to be honest, those guys are standing there so peacefully. And this dumb mother of a daughter and a son says, oh, my daughter leaned into me and snuggled against me and cried. I don't really buy it. I think she's lying. But they're quite peaceful. They're not assaulting anybody. You can argue about the tactics, whatever. But the idiot cucked politicians that want to give up the country took their distance, distanced themselves from this protest because it's not politically correct to oppose pushing drag queen story hour on kids because this stupid corrupt mothers are and I guess some beta fathers are taking their kids to it. So I just wanted to share that with you. Wilson Gavin killed himself. I forget what age he was. Maybe a young guy, like 21 or something. College student. Homosexual, against same-sex marriage. What a mess. By the way, before I get to the last calls, this bike chain police attack that I reported on in Hake News in the third hour, was he black? Because what was it, ABC or NBC or CBS of New York reported police described him as 6'2", 200 pounds. They described him perfectly. And you do see a little bit of his face, but why didn't they say a black male? I look like black. I don't know. Here, I have some pictures of him running from when he was running away, escaping. I don't know. It could be white, but maybe it's the coloring. If you look at another picture, it looks even more colored. Maybe it's doctored photo. But to me, I mean, Joel, what do you think? It's black. But they didn't want to mention the race. You see the hand. That hand doesn't look like James' colored hand, if I have any color. That face, the hood, I don't know. This guy looks like R. Kelly. It's not R. Kelly, I don't believe. Hopefully. But according to the story, before a door closed, I don't know if he was on the train and the woman was on the platform, female 37-year-old police officer, female police officer. But that's beside the point. I don't know if she was in uniform and he knew she was a cop or if she was just a pretty lady that he hated women. Because a lot of blacks hate women. Most men hate women. But violently hate, I guess. He threw the bike chain. And a bike chain that's a serious thing. She had bruising and cuts, I think. I don't know if she had cuts, but she had bruising and might have had to get stitches. I forget. You can read the story. It's in Hake News. You can go to thehakereport.com later this afternoon, and it will be up there under Hake News. So it's just pathetic to me to see the media being so politically correct, not telling you a full description of the suspect who has not been caught. It's ridiculous. Crazy. Let me get to Luis out of Los Angeles, California. Luis, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah.
All right, right on. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to ask you, why is it that Republicans are not able to win states such as Oregon and Washington, considering that they are like almost completely white?
That's a good question. Well, I know that I've been to Oregon, like Portland area, and I see more and more Hispanics in there. And I know that Portland is very liberal. And that must be, they must house like, their whites are split like 50-50 idiot versus not so idiot. When I say idiot versus not so idiot, I mean Democrat versus Republican. And so I think part of that 50% idiot is in places like especially the cities, which are more densely populated. College students, artists, this whole keep Portland weird type. That's the type of whites that are there. So I'm guessing that's maybe why. But it's crazy because all these places used to be way more conservative, including even the state of California. It's nuts. Yeah.
So what would the solution be? Would the solution be to try for the Republicans to try to get the Hispanic vote in there? Or?
That is part of it. I think that I really believe that the stuff that Trump is doing is one great thing, because Trump is just being real, and he's not kissing up to political correctness for the most part. Yeah, you can find him kissing up now and then, but that's one thing that really wakes people up, when a politician doesn't act like the typical politician. That's one good thing. Another good thing is what Jesse Lee Peterson is doing, is like speaking the truth, waking people up. The nitpickers, the sensitive people who hate hearing the truth or hate hearing, in Joe Kenyon's mind, exaggerations. Well, he calls them lies. But the people who are sensitive and closed off, intellectual and stuff will not hear or accept the truth. But there are a bunch of people who are just stuck in the liberal mindset, and they just need to hear the truth to wake up. And a lot of those people are waking up from hearing Jesse and other people too. But Jesse is kind of his purpose is like rebuilding the man, right? And that is by far men becoming examples again and actual leaders. That is so powerful. It's like what Trump is. He's like an example as a leader in many ways. He really is. And so that is more powerful than any of the Republican so-called outreach. Yes, it's good to hold town halls and talk to the brainwashed masses who are a bunch of liberals who don't know better. The blacks, the Hispanics, the Asians, the educated, in some cases the less educated, but the educated have it really bad. They're really brainwashed. I mean like the college educated. But yeah, I think it's all those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Because if you notice in states like New Mexico and Nevada, the last two Republican governors were Hispanic governors. So it seems to me like when it comes to voting, I think liberals would rather vote for a conservative minority over a white liberal. Does that make sense?
Wait, who would rather vote for a conservative minority over a white liberal?
I think liberals will, and in liberal states that tends to happen.
Oh, liberal states. In liberal states, they vote.
Yeah, because that happened in New Mexico and Nevada.
Oh, interesting. They'll rather vote for a conservative minority than a white liberal. Interesting. Yeah, it's such a shame how shallow people are, right? Like they're complaining that the Dem debates were so white, which I am upset that there are so many whites who are Democrats. Yeah, I'm upset that anybody's dumb enough to be a Democrat. I guess I'm not upset, but sometimes I get upset. Anyways,
so I think that should be the strategy. In order for a Republican to win California on the presidential level, I think Marco Rubio needs to run or something.
Oh, man, you make me cringe. I don't like Marco Rubio is nice, I guess, sometimes. But it's not good to fall for that, though, because look at Trump. He's like he's white as can be. And he's unashamed. He's like has courage. He just speaks plainly the truth, and he puts everybody to shame. White or black or Hispanic or Asian or Japanese, gay, straight, female, male. He's just real, and that just puts everybody to shame. So we need just people that are decent. I would love to see a white man telling the truth and the Hispanics accept it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you do hear that. You hear Jesse Lee Peterson, a black man, telling the truth, and Hispanics, whites, Asians, Japanese. There was a great service of church a couple weeks ago. This nephew of a man who comes as a regular from East Coast, he woke up in real time. And because it's not about the race. And in reality, these voters, they're not about race. They're just blind. That's all it is.
Right.
Yeah. So I disagree on that particular tactic. And because I'm really, I would say, disappointed in Ted Cruz. I was disappointed in him when I realized that he wasn't as real as I thought. But I mean, who of us is? But Trump really stood in contrast and exposed all these guys. So hopefully more people become real. And I'm not saying act like Trump, because there are people who are out there who try to act like Trump, like try to act bombastic and stuff like that. It's not going to work unless they're real.
The Democrats try to do that.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
But it didn't work. So who do you think is going to be a good candidate for 2024? On the Republican Party.
Oh man, you're making my head spin or swim, if you ask Jesse. Just even trying to think about that far ahead. I'm not a strategist in terms of like long term. I'm like simple. I'm like right now. What do we need to do?
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I couldn't even predict, because people like Don Jr., but who knows what Don Jr.'s life is going to be like. And right now he's in a situation that I think that he should be in with, what's her name? Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Yeah.
So maybe he has more growing up to do. It took Trump. People were talking about Trump running for office for decades before he ever actually seriously did it. So maybe Don Jr., when he's 69 years old, he'll be ready. Because Trump wasn't really ready. I mean, he was attached to things and women and all that stuff. Now maybe he's over that a lot more than he was. And as far as I know, he is over it. And he's ready for it. He's handling the pressure like a champ, like no other president could. And you know what? He was listening to the media. George W. Bush, according to this Bill O'Reilly book about him, about Trump, George W. Bush quit listening to the media. And that's why you didn't hear him defending himself in the media. George W. Bush, because he was rightly maligned for some things, but he was falsely maligned for many other things, because the media is anti-Republican in addition to anti-men, anti-conservative, anti the country, right? And George W. Bush, yes, a lot of you guys really don't like him or really have strong, valid criticisms against him, but the stuff in the media against him, he could have defended himself. And maybe he would have been a better president for it. For sure he would have been. But he was a coward. He was weak. Anyways, man. Appreciate you, Luis. Good to hear. Luis, it's good to hear from you, man.
All right, you too. God bless you, man.
You as well. Take care.
All right.
So, the Swamp says that Trump broke the law. Fox News reports Government Accountability Office. Yeah, right. The GAO. Which is part of the Swamp, Hakes, I say. I'm laughing because Salazam said, "Stop speaking in third person. It's weird." And so I talk with my hands. Jeanette tells me not to do the air quotes. Salazam tells Hake not to speak in third person. And Hake listens to them. So much for being alpha, right? I never said it. So the GAO, the so-called government watchdog, says that Trump broke the law by withholding some of the Ukraine aid, which is a joke. Obama never even gave that aid, by the way. It was effectively never withheld, according to impeachment witness testimony. $214 million out of the $400 million that was withheld was DOD allocated by law from Congress, according to them. Dumb technical stuff. These so-called government watchdogs, they're not watching out for the people. If they were watching out for the people, they'd force Congress and the president and the courts to protect us at the border, but none of them are, except for Trump a little bit. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow for the real Get It Off Your Chest Friday. Women's Forum tonight, ladies. Rebuildingtheman.com/events. And thank you, guys. Take care.